Look around. Everyone's triggered, offended, emotional, and desperate to be heard. Weakness is loud, but power, real power, it's silent. It's calm. It's walking through fire and acting like you don't even feel the heat. You want to win in this world, then learn to act as if nothing bothers you, even when everything does. That's how you rise above noise and own every room without saying a word. Emotional control is one of the most underestimated and yet most powerful assets a person can have. In a world where everyone is constantly reacting, scrolling, posting, arguing, whining, the man who can maintain composure is rare. And because he's rare, he becomes powerful. Emotional control isn't about being numb or cold. It's about not letting your emotions dictate your actions. It's about recognizing that your feelings are valid, but they are not your guide. Emotions can inform you, but they should never lead you. The person who allows their emotions to lead will be easily manipulated, easily broken, and always playing defense. Imagine a high-pressure situation. Someone disrespects you publicly, calls you out, mocks you. Most people would instantly retaliate, yell, get angry, try to prove something. But that's predictable. That's what the average person does. And when you're predictable, you're weak. Anyone who knows how you'll react can control you. They'll push your buttons and sit back while you self-destruct. But the one who remains calm, the one who doesn't even flinch, that person is dangerous. Because you don't know what he's thinking. You don't know what his next move is. He doesn't give you the satisfaction of a reaction. And that drives people insane. The man with emotional control is playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers. He sees 10 moves ahead because he's not clouded by rage or insecurity. His head is clear. He's observing everything, calculating silently. While others are lashing out, he's collecting information. He's seeing who's weak, who's insecure, who needs validation. Emotional outbursts reveal character. And when you don't give in to that impulse, you remain a mystery. People fear what they don't understand, and they can't understand someone who doesn't show what bothers him. Letting your emotions run wild makes you a puppet. Think about it. You're essentially giving control of your internal state to external forces. If someone can ruin your day with a comment, they own you. If traffic, bad service, or gossip can throw you off, you've already lost. You're reactive, you're soft, and softness gets eaten alive. The modern world is brutal. It rewards focus, discipline, and stoicism. The person who can endure without reacting earns respect without even asking for it. He doesn't need to prove he's strong. His silence, his calmness, his control prove it for him. It's not about suppressing emotions, it's about mastering them. There's a difference. Suppression is weakness in disguise. Mastery is strength under control. The man who's mastered himself doesn't fear loss, betrayal, failure. He's already faced them and come out the other side colder, smarter, and more strategic. He's not heartless. He just knows the cost of wearing your emotions on your sleeve in a world that's always looking for a weakness. Most people confuse being emotional with being alive. But real life is about survival, growth, and dominance in a competitive world. You don't get there by being the loudest or the most reactive. You get there by being the most focused, the most patient, and the least predictable. That's the value of emotional control. It's not just about looking strong. It's about being unshakable from the inside out. When you have it, you don't need to tell anyone. They can feel it the moment you walk in. That's real power. Weakness is never just spoken, it's displayed. And the world doesn't need to hear you say you're struggling to know you're vulnerable. People pick it up from how you react, how you move, how you carry yourself when things don't go your way. Every facial expression, every emotional outburst, every little breakdown is a signal. And once people see it, they never forget it. When you let your emotions spill out in public, frustration, sadness, desperation, you give away the blueprint of your mind. You're telling the world exactly what affects you, what triggers you, and what breaks you. That's dangerous. People are watching, whether you realize it or not. They're scanning for weaknesses. Most won't admit it, but that's the truth. Human beings are competitive creatures, and life is a constant hierarchy of dominance, socially, financially, professionally. In that environment, your weakness becomes a tool for others. Maybe they don't use it right away, but they store it. They remember how you reacted when you were insulted, how you handled being left out, how your voice cracked when you tried to defend yourself. It all goes into their mental file on you. And when they want to make a move, whether it's to control, manipulate, or eliminate, they pull that file out and use it against you. This is why the man who acts like nothing bothers him holds an edge. It's not that he feels nothing, it's that he refuses to show it. He knows the battlefield is psychological. He knows the game is about perception. If you can keep your reactions in check, you can control how the world sees you. If someone insults you and you stay calm, you confuse them. If you lose something and don't panic, you intimidate people. You're playing a game they haven't even realized they're in yet. Most people are so used to being reactive that when they see someone unshaken, they don't know how to handle it. When you wear your emotions on your sleeve, you invite people to test you. It's like bleeding in the water around sharks. The moment they sense you're hurt, the feeding begins. People push you, not just to hurt you, but to see what happens. They want to know if you'll crack. They want to know if you'll beg, yell, cry, break. And if you do, you're finished. You've handed over your power, and getting it back isn't easy. Because once someone sees that side of you, they no longer see you as stable, reliable, or strong. You're not in control. You're at the mercy of your feelings, and that makes you exploitable. This applies to all areas of life. In business, in relationships, in the gym, on the street. The moment you react emotionally, you've given up leverage. The calm man holds the power, not because he's unaffected, but because he's untouchable. When people try to get a rise out of him and fail, they lose interest. They get frustrated. They realize they have no control. And in that moment, the man who stayed composed becomes the dominant force in the interaction. You don't need to broadcast your pain to earn sympathy. The world doesn't reward victims. It rewards victors. And victors aren't loud about their pain. They carry it silently. They use it as fuel. And they never let it show. Because they understand one thing, weakness isn't about what you say, it's about what you show. And once you show it, you can't take it back. Silence is not emptiness, it's strategy. In a world where everyone is screaming to be heard, the man who stays quiet holds a different kind of power. People confuse silence with weakness because they assume strength has to be loud, aggressive, dominant in volume. But real dominance doesn't need noise, it needs control. Silence is a weapon for the one who knows how to use it. When you choose not to respond, when you choose not to explain yourself, when you choose not to react, you're creating mystery, you're protecting leverage, and you're shifting the balance of power in your favor. People hate what they can't read, and silence makes you unreadable. It forces others to guess. They don't know what you're thinking, they don't know if you're planning something, they don't know if you even care. That uncertainty puts them on edge, it makes them uncomfortable. They want you to react. They want you to explain yourself, argue, defend, or retaliate. Why? Because once you start talking, you start revealing. You reveal your insecurities, your state of mind, your intentions. You give them something to work with, but if you remain silent, they're stuck in their own thoughts. They start projecting, they start doubting themselves, they start losing their focus while you remain locked in on yours. Responding to everything is a trait of the weak. It shows you're triggered easily, that you can't let things slide, that you need validation or revenge to feel better. That's what the average person does. They defend every rumor, answer every insult, and argue every misunderstanding. But a man who knows who he is doesn't have to say anything. He lets people talk. He lets the noise pass. He knows that none of it matters because it's all temporary. Emotions fade, opinions change, and time reveals the truth. By staying silent, you let your actions speak. And actions, over time, always tell the real story. Silence also keeps your enemies blind. The moment you start reacting, you become predictable. If they know how to get under your skin, they'll do it again and again. You're handing them the manual on how to control you. But if you stay quiet, they're left confused. They don't know if they got to you or not. They don't know if they won. That uncertainty can be more frustrating than a direct confrontation. It throws them off. While they're obsessing over your silence, you're moving in silence, plotting, building, improving, winning. There's also something cold and powerful about a man who doesn't need to explain. When someone wrongs you and you don't respond, when someone disrespects you and you don't react, it shows detachment. It shows control. It shows that their words or actions are beneath your attention. That kind of self-control earns respect. Even your enemies start to second guess whether you're someone they want to keep poking at. Because anyone can yell back, anyone can argue. It takes real power to say nothing and stay unshaken. In silence, you regain control over your energy. You stop wasting time on pointless drama, emotional nonsense, or ego battles. You focus on what matters, your growth, your goals, your mission. You protect your peace by not giving everyone access to your state of mind. And that's what the loud world doesn't understand. They think silence is retreat. It's not. It's restraint. It's intelligence. It's a deliberate move by someone who knows that the loudest one in the room is rarely the one in charge. Real power is quiet, calculated, and calm. And when you learn to use silence, you don't just protect yourself, you dominate without making a sound. Pain is inevitable. Every person walking this earth is going to face it in one form or another. Betrayal, loss, failure, rejection. The difference between those who rise and those who stay on the floor isn't the presence or absence of pain, but how they respond to it. Most people treat pain like it's a stop sign. They get hurt and they pause. They complain. They wait for sympathy, for comfort, for some external force to fix what's broken inside them. But the man who wants to win in this world doesn't let pain slow him down. He takes that pain and turns it into pressure. He takes the pressure and converts it into progress. Pain becomes fuel. Life doesn't care about your feelings. It doesn't care about your wounds, your heartbreak, your past. It keeps moving. And if you want to survive, you have to keep moving with it. Pain doesn't make you special, it makes you human. What makes you different is what you do with it. You can either let it harden you or humble you. You can either sit in it or rise from it. People who act like pain is an excuse stay weak forever. They hold on to it, they wrap themselves in it like a blanket, then they wonder why they never evolve. But pain was never meant to keep you down. It's meant to sharpen you, if you let it. When you act as if nothing bothers you, even when you're bleeding on the inside, you're making a choice. You're deciding not to give pain the satisfaction of controlling your behavior. You're telling the world that no matter what hits you, you're still standing, you're still moving, you're still focused. That's what winners do. They take the punches, they absorb the hits, and they keep going. Not because it doesn't hurt, but because they know that staying down won't help. The gym, the business world, the battlefield, life itself, none of these places have space for excuses. They only reward outcomes. And pain, if you're smart, can become your greatest tool for producing them. When someone betrays you, use it. When you fail, use it. When you're exhausted and broken and nobody's coming to save you, use that. Channel every ounce of that energy back into your mission, into your work, into your body, into your discipline. The moment you realize that pain can't stop you, you become dangerous. You become the kind of man people fear because nothing takes you off course. The things that break others just make you sharper. They make you colder. They make you hungrier. Every scar becomes a story of resilience. Every hardship becomes a lesson in strength. Most people broadcast their pain because they want the world to see their suffering and feel sorry for them. But the world doesn't care. You think it does because social media taught you to post your breakdowns and expect applause. But the real world doesn't hand out points for emotional exposure. It rewards results. And the people who get results are the ones who learn to wear pain like armor. They don't show it, they don't talk about it, they don't beg for understanding, they internalize it and keep marching forward like nothing happened, because forward is the only direction they're willing to go. Pain is not a weakness unless you treat it like one. It's energy, and energy can be used to destroy you or to fuel you. That choice is yours. But understand this, pain will always come. You can't avoid it, you can't hide from it. So when it comes, the only real decision is what kind of man you're going to be when it hits. The man who crumbles or the man who rises? The man who lets it define him or the man who uses it to redefine himself? Pain is the fire, and you're either the ash or the steel. Control the frame, control the game. Every social interaction, every negotiation, every confrontation is about the frame. Who sets it, who controls it, who makes the other person adjust to their energy, their pace, their tone. Most people don't even realize they're in a battle for control. They walk into situations reacting instead of leading, absorbing instead of directing. But the man who understands the power of frame walks into every room like he owns it, not because he says it, but because he makes others feel it without saying a word. Frame is about energy. It's about presence. It's about who is more composed, who is more certain, who is more unaffected. When you act as if nothing bothers you, even in the middle of chaos, you instantly shift the dynamic in your favor. People are drawn to stability. They're drawn to strength that doesn't need to shout. If you can hold your frame when others are losing theirs, they start following your lead without even realizing it. Your calm becomes contagious. Your control becomes the anchor. That's how leaders are born, not by force, but by influence. You can't fake a strong frame. People feel it. They sense when someone is putting on a front, when someone is acting confident, but is actually crumbling inside. The real strength is in stillness. It's in the ability to stay centered when the environment is trying to pull you off balance. Someone disrespects you, you don't flinch. A deal falls apart, you don't panic. Pressure builds, you don't react emotionally. You hold the same tone, the same posture, the same mindset. That's what makes people question themselves. That's what makes them adjust to you instead of the other way around. Weak people constantly give up their frame. They let their emotions hijack the situation. They get offended easily. They raise their voice. They rush to explain. They seek approval. All of that signals insecurity. The second you start defending yourself unnecessarily, you've already lost the upper hand. You've told the other person that their words or actions affected you. You've stepped into their frame. Now they're in control, they're dictating the terms, and you're reacting to them. But when you remain composed, when you operate like you've already won, regardless of what's happening externally, you maintain control. It doesn't mean you're passive. It means you're calculated. It means you don't give away energy unless there's a reason. You're not trying to prove anything because you know who you are. You don't need to talk louder to be heard. Your silence speaks louder than noise. Your calm is louder than anger. In any negotiation, the person who's least emotionally invested usually wins. Why? Because they're operating from logic, not desperation. That's frame. The moment you show that you need something, a deal, approval, attention, you're at a disadvantage. The stronger frame is always held by the person who is willing to walk away. That's why acting like nothing bothers you is not just a mindset. It's a tactic. It makes people chase your validation. It makes them try to win you over. You become the prize. You become the standard. This applies to everything. Business, relationships, life. If you act like a man who cannot be rattled, who cannot be emotionally manipulated, people take you more seriously. They measure their words. They rethink their actions because they know they're not dealing with someone who can be moved by small things. You've made it clear. You set the frame. And if they want to be in your world, they better learn to fit into it. Power isn't loud. It's not screaming at people. It's not punching walls. And it's not trying to prove you're the toughest man in the room. True power is silent. It's presence. It's walking into a room and making everyone feel you without saying a word. That kind of power doesn't come from pretending to be someone you're not. It comes from controlling yourself so well that nothing and no one can pull you off center. You don't chase attention. Attention finds you. You don't demand respect. It's given to you because you carry yourself like someone who doesn't need it from anyone. When you act as if nothing bothers you, people can't get a read on you. That unsettles them. Most people are open books. You insult them, they snap. You disagree with them, they get defensive. You ignore them, they start begging for validation. It's easy to predict and easy to control. But when you act unfazed, people don't know what moves to make. You've removed their ability to influence you. They can't trigger you. They can't shift your focus. They can't find your weak point. That's where power is born, not in the ability to control others, but in making yourself uncontrollable. The man who remains calm in chaos is the man who's already won. Everyone else is trying to catch up to his pace, trying to figure out what he's thinking, trying to break his rhythm. And that's the game. Whoever sets the rhythm controls the situation. If you're the one everyone is adjusting to, you're already in a position of power. And you don't need to explain anything, threaten anyone, or raise your voice. If you just stay composed, the more pressure there is, the more relaxed you become. That contrast is what makes people take you seriously, because it's rare. Think about how people behave in uncertain situations. They panic. They talk too much. They move fast and think slow. But the man who stays still, who stays cold, who keeps that steady tone and still posture, he instantly becomes the center of gravity. People start looking to him for cues. They start trying to get a reaction. And when they can't, they assume he's in control. That assumption becomes reality because people follow confidence. They trust certainty. They respect composure. If you show the world that nothing shakes you, the world responds by respecting your presence even more. This is how reputations are built, not by showing off, but by showing consistency under pressure. When you walk away from conflict without needing to prove a point, people remember that. When you say less and do more, people notice that. When others are emotional and you stay tactical, people fear that. They might not say it out loud, but in their mind, you just became someone they don't want to cross. And that's power. Not fear through aggression, but respect through control. Most people talk about power like it's something you take from others. But the real kind of power is something you build from within. It's not about dominating others, it's about not being dominated. When you train yourself to act like nothing gets to you, you build a shield that most people don't have. That shield gives you the ability to walk through chaos untouched, to deal with betrayal without losing control, to face failure without falling apart. That's what makes you stand out in a weak emotional world. And when people realize they can't move you, they start moving around you. You stop playing their game, and they start playing yours. The moment you decide to act as if nothing bothers you, you take control, not just of your emotions, but of your life. You stop handing power to people who don't deserve it, and you start commanding respect without ever needing to ask for it. In a world full of weak minds, emotional reactions, and constant validation seeking, the man who stays silent, composed, and focused becomes a weapon. Not because he's emotionless, but because he's mastered himself. That's the highest level of strength. Not loud, not desperate, just cold, clear, and untouchable. You don't win by proving yourself to the world. You win by becoming the kind of man who doesn't need to.